I was asked for my recommendation on coaching a team of beginners, really young players, 6, 7, 8 years old, and specifically communicating with players of this age, or just beginners in general. And none of my books is especially dedicated to communication and or to this age group. Although Crossover, the new model for youth basketball development, is probably the closest to having information for this age group, and dealing with a wide variety of issues related to coaching. But the answer that I gave to the coach was short and simple. And so I said, the question was, how do you communicate with and teach 7, 8-year-old beginners? And I said, slowly and patiently. The players, give the players time after you instruct something to try it out a few times before you come in with more instruction or more feedback or criticism or corrections. Give them a chance to learn on their own. Don't be quick to jump in and try to fix everything. There isn't anything, there's no such thing as a perfect technique. And then think about congratulating them for effort, not just their skill or talent. So if somebody's improving, hey, you guys are doing a great job improving because you're working so hard at practice. Not, hey, you guys are, really improving and really getting better because you have great skill or because you're really talented. And that goes back to Carol Dweck's Mindset, which is a book that I recommended to the coach as well, because it's a book that I recommend to pretty much all coaches and parents. I told the coach, I said, it's easy to talk too much, it's harder to say too little. I rarely, when I watch practices, think to myself, wow, that coach just doesn't talk enough. But oftentimes when I'm at a practice, I go, man, that coach talks way too much. And I think that for myself sometimes as well, what I'm saying will go on too long. And I'll lose, a player's interest or something like that. So I try to keep my instructions brief, as opposed to lecturing and talking like I do on these videos. You know, I said that for younger players, dribbling is the easiest skill to master. In my opinion, of all the technical skills in the game, it's probably the least important. Because I just think shooting and passing are more important. Obviously, dribbling has a place, but you use dribble to get somewhere. It's not an end in and of itself. So I'm using a dribble to pass, or I'm using a dribble to shoot. And ultimately, the end is what's more important, how you deliver the ball to a teammate or how you shoot the ball. But dribbling is the easiest skill to master because it's the simplest skill for players. And by learning how to dribble, players can develop confidence. So dribbling drills, the way they're constructed, it's easy for players to see their improvement. And it's easy to go from an easy drill to a slightly harder drill, and for players to notice that they're improving, as they're doing these drills. That on day one they could barely bounce one ball, and then after several weeks, and maybe they can bounce two balls, or maybe they can cross over, or maybe now they can dribble while they're running, and so they're progressing. I think learning to shoot, or even learning to shoot layups, or the skill of passing with defense and so forth, is easier, or it's harder to kind of measure and really see that improvement. It takes a longer period of time, whereas dribbling, you can really improve your dribbling in a single session, just because of the nature of the skill and its simplicity and the way that basic drills are constructed. I also said that with younger players, really make sure that you're using the right size basket and the right size ball. To me, it's better to stay on a lower basket for too long and use a smaller ball for too long than to move to a higher basket or a bigger ball too early, where players will then potentially develop bad habits using a ball that's too big for their hands, or shooting at a basket that's too high for their strength levels. I also said fun is a good thing and challenges are a good thing. Players play because they want to have fun, and children enjoy challenges. But the challenges should be something achievable. It should be something slightly beyond their skill levels. So if I can make 3 shots in a row, well, now the challenge is to make 4 shots in a row, or maybe it's to take 1 step back and make 3 shots in a row from 1 step back, something like that. So that there's a challenge there, and players can see themselves improving, and they can see themselves achieving something, and that will then create more motivation to continue that path and continue trying more and more, so that they can achieve more and more, and try new things and expand and explore different skills, or expand their abilities within a certain skill, shooting from further away from the basket, or doing different dribble moves, or whatever the case may be. So, and I think the last thing, I don't remember if I said this or not, but mistakes are part of the learning process. Encourage mistakes, not because we want mistakes for the sake of making mistakes, but because it's part of the process. No beginner is going to be perfect from day one, and as long as they understand that mistakes are accepted and it's something that we're trying to improve, and it's not something that they're going to be punished for, then we can create a learning environment where they're motivated to improve, they're motivated to try new things, and they're motivated to expand their game, and they're not just stuck doing what the simple skill that they can already do. So to me, those were some of the ideas that I had for working with beginners, and especially working for younger beginners. To try to talk less and do more. Give players chances before we step in with feedback. Make sure that they know mistakes are acceptable and something that we're working towards improving. And then making sure that the baskets and the balls are appropriately sized so players have the best possible chance to succeed. And then we can give them challenges that are slightly beyond their ability.